Welcome back, my friends. Thank you for joining me. If you're brand new here, you might want to check down below to click on some of the links that lead to an introduction, or at least to the very beginning of this 100-day series. Better to start there than here. For the rest of us, of course, we know to settle into a standing posture. Maybe spend a few moments doing some self-massage. Might as well make it easy for yourself. We don't have to do things the hard way. What's the first thing that we do? Letting go of everything that we were already doing. Releasing any tension around your eyes and your forehead, perhaps in your jaw. Softening your throat, sides of your neck, the back of your neck. Letting go of the tops of your shoulders. Release your shoulder blades away from your spine, letting them slide down your back. Softening this front corner of your shoulder, which will be specifically important today. This line of the throat, the front of the shoulder. Allowing it to fall open. Releasing your arms outward, lengthening down, softening long. This song chang quality where everything is allowed to gently open. Your wrists, your hands. As you allow your chest to fall, softening your upper back, releasing your belly. Feel your breath move more easily through the floating ribs here, the solar plexus, your lower abdomen. Letting go of your lower back, allowing your tailbone to sink as you soften your glutes and your hips. Letting go of your thighs. Notice any tension in the front of the hip here, allowing it to soften. Allow your quadriceps to relax a bit. Tension in the front of the knee, but also releasing behind the leg, behind the knee. Notice any gripping along the shin, this anterior tibialis muscle just to the outside of the shin there. Leading down to the tops of the feet, softening your toes to the ground. Allow your whole body to release. paying special attention to opening and softening along the front of the body. Just a couple extra minutes of standing here today. Pay some special attention to a relationship between your thumbs and your big toes, the first toes there. You don't have to do anything in particular, just noticing the tips of your thumbs and the tips of your big toes. And then paying attention to the tips of your second finger, your index fingers, and the second toe. Just paying attention to those 4 points. And then closing when you're finished. So today, I am going to, rather than focus on specific locations like a specific sinew channel, or the hands, the feet, the head, the ends of the body, which is what I have been doing recently. We've been exploring how the movement opens through these specific lines or through these specific aspects of the body as a way to get to know our physical and energetic experience a little bit better. And today, instead, what we're going to do is look at collections of these. And in a very simple way, we'll simply think about the front of the body here. So not this back half of the body, posterior of the body. We'll focus on the anterior half of this body, forward, the frontal plane here. And one of the reasons to emphasize, for instance, thinking about the thumbs and the big toe, or the index finger and the second toe, is because for those of you who have been paying attention to the sinew channels, those run along these lines, along the front of the body. And it's just a way of highlighting and opening up those relationships a little bit along the front of the body. And so I'll occasionally mention those. Of course, they're not the only ones that run along the front of the body, but it's just a way of helping to draw attention and a movement through our intention into the correct hemisphere of the body for today. Again, we're simply trying to get to know our physical form a bit better. So don't overstress it, don't worry about it. Simply allow yourself to pay extra attention to releasing this half of the body today. And so, as we circle, allowing the warmth and softness of our hands to begin to transfer itself inside, notice how releasing here helps this wave of softness travel outward through the rest of the body, even though the rest of our body is relatively still for this movement. both directions. Let's do just a little bit of left and right, yin and yang, balancing. Just like normal, pouring the weight from side to side. And maybe better instead to emphasize the emptying side. In the beginning, we talk about transferring the weight because that's something that's easier to grok, to understand for people. But the better practice, of course, is always through letting go, through don'ting. And so much better to think about emptying. This whole half of the body empties. This whole half of the body empties. But of course, also, the side that is sinking is also emptying. We're allowing the weight of the body to empty through and into the ground. So really the whole body is emptying. Hands, more or less staying along the side of the body. Don't let them fall in front. That's very common. Especially today because we're emphasizing the opening and the release of this front plane of the body. And let's do a little softening of the sides of the neck as well. As you do this, allow the front corner of the shoulder, the throat, this front line here, this SCM, the sternocleidomastoid bundle here, allow that to lengthen, space beneath your jaw. And then, hands circling around, warming up the lower back a bit. As you do this, again, because we're attending to the front of the body as well, it's very common to collapse forward or to do this. Don't do either. Keep the body soft in the front. If it's too difficult to turn your palms around for any reason, you can use the backs of your hands. And it's okay to skip this as well if you have arthritic pain in your wrists, elbows, and shoulders. For some people, this will just not be a possible movement, so you skip it. Or, if you're very lucky, you have someone else do it for you. Warming up your lower back. And now, let's do a little bit of snake, swaying side to side like a wave. This movement waving up through the body, all the way up from the feet, softening the sides of the body. And for us, today, notice whether or not you tend to do this very common thing. Maybe lean forward a little bit, you twist. Instead, stay along this frontal plane here, this line, so that the side of the neck is releasing this way. The hands are sliding, and we're allowing the rib side and the waist, the hips, to open fully. Tapering off. And closing. Very nice morning up here. Frosty. The winter is upon me. Everything covered in ice. Very beautiful in the mountains. Preparing for a long winter retreat at the monastery, the Taoist monastery where I live. And the people that come to these longer retreats, especially in the depths of winter, always leave transformed from these periods of deep stillness. And throughout our day, even at other times of the year, it's very important to cultivate those moments of deep quiet. So it's perfect in the winter. It's perfect during a retreat where everyone's very still, cultivating stillness. But throughout your day, you want to have as many of these moments of wintertime, of deep, quiet nighttime, this settled yin quality, interspersed throughout your day. It makes all of the difference. So don't skip closing. You'll regret it later, once you discover how amazing it is. So let's do a little bit of hip releasing. Paying attention here as you soften, softening the belly open. So as I release here, this spreads open. As I close, by opening the front, of course, I don't want to squeeze here. So you can place your fingers in here. I know for many people, you've never experienced not tight hip flexors here, but it's possible for this to be so soft that you can press your fingers in. It creates a space. And you want to move in that direction. So here, even as my hips tuck beneath, I'm not squeezing this, I'm just opening my back. It's a very different kind of movement than pressing with your legs and squeezing with your hips. Both directions. Free along the front of the body. Free from the hips down. Free from the hips up. Larger circles. Taking your time. Make certain that you're not just folding across the middle here, but rather if you took a piece of PVC pipe and bent it, or a flexible piece of bamboo, it would just flex and bend and become a curve. If you went too far, of course, it would kink and become too like a right angle to itself. And what we want to do is to have that soft, open, lengthening curve along the front of the body. Really all along the full length of the body. But for today, the front. Both directions. And then emphasize the softening and opening of the chest, releasing of any tension in the front and throat, base of the jaw, base of the tongue, your face. Both directions. Gazing down, softening the back of the neck, but of course for today, notice that you're not squeezing closed your throat. The lengthening is occurring along the back, but you're continuing to lengthen along the front. You'll notice again, I can touch my chin to my chest, but my voice is still open. My chin's a little blocked, but if I squeeze my throat, you can hear it close my throat off. But if I open and soften my throat, lengthening, softening my jaw, everything stays free. And you want to allow that freedom all the way around. Continuing, drawing this forward circle, maintaining that length, that freedom. Notice if you have a tendency to close or constrict your throat, maybe to tighten your jaw, to squeeze your eyes, make faces. All of this tension finds its way through the body. We've already explored how deeply all of these sinew channels connect along the length of the body. So tension anywhere begins to transfer and turn into tension in a lot of other places. Closing. Pivoting around the little finger, thumbs turn in. This helps you sink your chest, soften your solar plexus, soften your belly. And those few breaths of quiet meditation, your awareness resting in the navel, perhaps just behind. Let's do a bit of shoulder release in preparation for the snake opening front and back. Remember to have one leg behind. Allow the weight to pour forward and back. And to have one stable side so that you can close and open around here. Closing toward it. Opening away. And here we want to emphasize this opening away as we spread open along the chest, the front of the shoulder. Solar plexus soften. Your whole body. Eventually, when you have Dansien rotation as part of your practice, even for a small movement like this, your Dansien is making a full circle, so your whole body is involved. Both directions. So if you ever see strange movement happening here in my belly, you don't want to imitate it. That's something that happens on its own later. I try to minimize it during class because people start doing odd things with their body. Both directions. Maybe I need to start wearing that classical Qigong and Taiji Chinese silk outfit, which hides all of this movement in through here, making all of this stuff invisible. But I prefer to have people be able to see what's happening. Both directions. Taking your time. Here, of course, again, emphasizing this spreading open. Don't arch back or lean back because that will cause stagnation in your front. Instead, maintain a comfortable position. Allow your joints to open, spreading open along the front of the shoulder, through the chest, through the solar plexus, the abdomen, the front of the hip. Your throat is soft. Both directions. Feels good. Allow your breath to be free. Gentle circles. Both directions. Closing. So again, remember that as you close, don't keep your chest lifted. All of this needs to, I'm trying to angle here so you can see, all of this wants to stay in a neutral position, not lifted up, not sunken down, soft. This was what allows all of this to release. So do take your time to find this line of softness as you settle. Awareness building up in that level of the navel. Part of nourishing and filling this front of the space in the body is nourishing what we might call this front dantian, the space at the navel and just deep to it. So we want to spend extra time here. Again, just so you can see comfortably. Hands just resting. Notice this lengthening and opening along the front of the body, all the way from the tops of your feet, fronts of your legs, front of the body. It spreads open, front of your shoulders, your throat, your jaw. This one is especially important for today. As you close, just as with the throat, don't clamp down. Don't compress the front of your body. You're just lengthening along your back, and that lengthening allows a kind of curve along the front. Smaller and smaller. When your mind wanders away from that front navel, as though you have a back navel, from your belly button, that front dantian space, just allow it to float back, releasing distractions. If you haven't yet started the 100-day standing and seated meditation practice, you might find that very helpful as a way of cultivating an appropriate relationship to how we deal with distractions, how we cultivate a settled awareness. Let's do a bit of preparation now for black snake, twisting around the tree. So we'll practice a lot of the twisting movements. Again, especially for today, make sure that the knees stay straight over the toes. And as you turn, don't collapse or twist so much that you tighten across the tissues here. Allow everything to be soft and to open into a twist in a way that releases your tissues. It doesn't bind them up by causing further tension. You only need to pay attention to the front today. It's a way of helping you know what to think about, so don't overdo it. This one is especially good as we open along the chest and the front of the shoulder, releasing your throat. Opening your chest, opening along the front of your torso. And now looking down and front, up and back. Slightly different relationship. You can allow your eyes to move as well. closing. Soften your chest, solar plexus, your belly. Releasing the head into the hands, and then pushing the hands gently into the head, lengthening along the back of the neck, backs of the shoulders. But of course, as we open, we are spreading along the front of the body. So just for today, emphasize and explore what it's like to focus on this part, the opening along the throat, the fronts of the shoulders, the chest. It's not the main purpose of this practice, but it is a full half of the practice. And so we want to be able to feel these connections as best we can. And then, actually, let's try both sides here. And turning your head from side to side. Being very gentle. Keep your chest and throat soft. And then again, we soften down. Turning your head to the side. This frozen shoulder, classic movement. Emphasizing this moment as you release, softening along the front of the body. And settling again. Take the time to let everything go, just so we don't cultivate tension and then carry it from movement to movement. So this time again, coming up the front line, palms turn down and out before they reach the heart, lengthening your spine, softening along the front of the body. Hands come down, pressing on the top of the head. You can link your fingers if you like. I know that's not comfortable for a lot of people, so only how you like doing it. One more time, gentle pressure down, and then softening. Let's soften down the front this time. Each movement, variation adjusts the emphasis in the body. It's nice to explore lots of different ways to do these possible movements so you can find the ones that work best for you. Again, up the front, opening along the length of the body. This time, let's add gentle pressure to the back of the head. Not too many, so I want to spend time focusing on some of the other movements later. Lengthening down, and then again, softening up. You can look up toward your hands for a moment, lengthening along the front of the body, and then again, softening down. A little side-to-side neck work. Somebody asked me to show this from the back. Should look more or less the same. And then shaking down the body. And just as the request to see that movement from the back, feel free to email me your questions. You can send me an audio or a video if you'd like, or you can just put some questions or comments and suggestions down in the comment section below. It's a really wonderful way to develop community, even though it's not as immediate as most social media systems. It's a way that people are immediately talking together about a specific subject in practice. It's a way of supporting each other. So even if you just want to share your own positive changes over time, please do include that down below, because I think that other people who are coming along struggling find it helpful and hopeful that other people have done these practices and seen benefit, because not everybody changes at the same rate. And so by hearing that it's not just John having good experiences, but all these other people as well, or modifications that you had to do. Maybe you only have one arm, or maybe you're in a wheelchair. And so hearing about your experience will help others who are going through the same thing, recognizing that you can build community that way. I think it's a really wonderful part of this, the magic of trying to use the internet for positive things instead of negative things. So if you'd like to help, please do share and comment down below, and like and subscribe. I cracked myself up. So let's do some black snake. Oh, before we do black snake, let's do a few of these movements. Remember, softening here. Notice this softening along the front of the body. I'm not leaning back. I'm not crouched. I don't close my neck. I just want to make sure that this movement stays in your body. You're asking your system to soften your shoulder blade this way, to lengthen your neck in this particular shape. And over time, your body reshapes itself. That's part of the beauty of these daily practices. And if sometimes you don't have the full 90 minutes to do a Qigong set, just do 10 minutes of your favorite versions, or one of each as you go through these, whatever you like, keeping that input going. So your body remembers, oh yeah, we are continuing this process of transformation, continually softening, opening. Softening your face, your chest, solar plexus, your belly, your hips, your knees, your feet. releasing along the front of the body, softening long. Closing. A bit of black snake. Opening along the front of the body, especially here as we look up and back, release. As you look down and back, don't crouch or close the front of your body. And softening down your face, your chest and solar plexus, your belly, front of your hips are released, your knees, that muscle along the shin bone. You take your time. I'll turn sideways here. So again, a gentle twist, keeping your body upright, comfortable. Don't let anything twist too hard. And then lengthen along the front of your body, especially this front of the hip here, looking up and back, softening your throat gently. And then as you round the front of your body, don't shorten it. Don't compress or collapse it. You're lengthening open your back, but that doesn't mean you compromise your front. And then again, this release down through. Opening the front of the body, staying open. Open in the sense of not compressing or tightening. Closing. Awareness collecting in that front dantian, the area of the navel. Take your time. Feels nice. So let's do a little preparation for white snake. White snake is wonderful for the opening along the front of the body in that it emphasizes the chest, the movement through the solar plexus and the belly. And so here, as we soften, allow your chest to lift and sink slightly. If I put my hand here so you can see this movement. If I exaggerate. But I'm not doing this. Similarly here, as we soften, open, lengthen through here. All of this open, close. Changing feet. The foot that is in front, that is the hand that comes over the top. Over the top. If we changed feet, the hand would change position, just because the angle of the body is different. See if you can feel that. Letting go. Let's spread open here a bit. Lengthen along the front of the body. This gentle curve. Again, remember that you're not doing this. You're doing this and softening along through this curve. We don't want to compromise the shape of the shoulders. Opening. Now the whole front of the body here is released and lengthened, and then we soften. Maintain that length. You're actually continuing to allow your arms to lengthen. They seem to be coming closer to each other, but they're just lengthening this way. So your chest remains open. Allowing your body to become free and open and expressive. Remember that paying attention to the thumb and index finger. We can do that here as well, which emphasizes this lengthening here. Even the big toe and the second toe as we open along the front of the body, insides of the legs. Your belly is soft. Your throat and neck are soft. Shoulder blades sink down the back. Let's do one more. Closing. Adding some nourishment, nourishing with your intent and your awareness, the area of the belly button. Opening along the front. Chest lifts, chest sinks. Remember, this lifting and opening in the front is a sinking and settling in the back. So your shoulder blade slides down your back, which gives you all this space to open here. All I have to do is let my shoulder blade sink, and it pulls my arm up for me. I don't have to do anything. That takes practice, of course, but this is the practice, letting go. And equally, The only thing I need to do to let go in the back is release and open in the front. And my shoulder blade slides down the back because I let go of all of this. Just a counterweight. So easy once you let go. Let's try a little bit of the white snake now. Opening along the front of the body. Don't compress and close. Even though your hands are moving toward the center, it's you opening your back by doing this movement, but maintain this fullness and length through the chest, the solar plexus, the belly. The fronts of your hips are soft. Your knee releases forward here. All of this is soft. Your throat stays released, your face is relaxed. This is the kind of relaxation you're developing. Just softness, suppleness, closing. Taking that extra time to nourish here. Tomorrow we'll work on the back half, and we'll take extra time to nourish the Mingmen, opposite the navel. So for today, build this up so that we are creating something special that can be balanced by tomorrow. Don't skip. Softening the shoulders. Your chest stays open. Your elbows move away from each other, not back. This is the most open position. Notice they're still in front of my shoulders here. These movements are so good for my shoulders. I have so many old martial arts injuries spread throughout my body. It's fun to uncover them and help them nourish and heal and stay open. Without these practices, my body slowly shuts down and starts to, I can feel all the old accumulations. Let's try this opening. Feel this threading and spreading through the front of the body. Closing right to left, opening. Closing left to right, opening. Make sure your hips, the fronts of your hips especially here, stay soft. Don't twist your hips. Hips stay facing forward. Turn your navel. I'll put my hand here so you can see my belly turning. Along the side of the body. Feeling all of this release. Fronts of the hips, your knees stay forward. Don't start turning away. Waist turns. This stays back. Chest sinks. Belly softens. Again, you might see my dantian rolling around, but don't try to copy it. It just happens on its own. Your throat stays soft. Your chin, your lips, your nose, your eyes. Staying open, spread open along the front surface of the body. This is nice because it has this lateral movement, and it gives you the chance to express waves traveling through this frontal plane. Flower hiding beneath the leaf. Notice this spreading open along the front of the body. Don't let your arms come behind you. Don't do this. Turn your waist. Softening the front of your hips. Opening both directions. Hips and glutes fully relaxed. Closing. Let's spend some time with these smaller variations of the golden snake. Opening in the direction of the thumb. Fingers pointing out, fingers pointing back. Fingers pointing in towards your neck. Forward, out, back, in, again. I'm trying to keep my body relatively still so it's easier to follow. So now let's begin to move the chest, the waist. You can allow your weight to pour from side to side. This closing and opening. Let's do one extra large one. Same thing, following the thumb. Open out to the side. Palm turns back. Fingertips turning in, forward, out to the side, back, in toward your waist, forward. Engaging the rest of your body. I know sometimes it can start to look visually confusing as we are moving the whole body, but it's the same movement. You're just allowing the movement to spread and allowing the rest of your system to take part. Opening away from the left side, closing toward it. Let's do one extra large one. Allowing the weight to pour from leg to leg, to empty from one leg to the other. Left hand, or my left if you want to mirror with your right. This time following the direction of the little finger, pointing in toward the ribs, back behind you, out to the side, in front, to the side, back toward you, out to the side, forward. Back, out, forward, all the way around. Let's start to move the rest of the body with it. Opening, closing, opening, spreading along the front of the body, closing, again, spreading open the front of the body, closing. Let's do one extra large movement. Hand as though disappearing behind you for a moment. Over the head and in front. This side. Little finger. Progressively larger and larger movements. You take your time. Emphasizing this spreading open along the front of the body. Opening. And let's do one more extra large one in this direction. Wonderful. Closing. Nourishing that front dantian. So now we have this wonderful example of opening and closing here. Front of the body spreads open. Again, not behind, out to the side, but you're lengthening along this whole front quality of the body, this front plane. Opening, spreading, softening long around the circle. Closing, opening. When you close, remember that you're not folding and compressing, but rather you are just lengthening around the inside of the circle. And then sinking down. Feel this wave of movement traveling down along the front of the body. It's a release down the front. Don't push hard or compress and close. You're continuing to make space. This time you're making space down the front of the body. Down the front. And then closing. You can close your eyes and settle in, paying extra attention. Always being gentle with yourself. Gentleness is part of relaxation. It's part of letting go. It's part of being open, of expressing naturally. And so if you find yourself pushing hard with your mind, really trying, that's tension. You're actually making things worse rather than better. You have to cultivate the ability to settle and open into this space where everything becomes easy rather than trying to push through the hard spaces, because all you get is more hard spaces and pushing. You get more of what you practice. So stay friendly and kind. And that direction is much more nourishing than the other alternative. So let's try a bit of the turtle drinking tea, starting with this comfortable neck movement. Notice again as I look up, I'm lengthening my throat without compressing the back of my neck, opening, spreading open along the chest. If I allow this rippling motion to travel down, traveling down, it's an opening along the front of the body, from the jaw and the face, the throat, the chest, the solar plexus, the belly, the front of the hips, the knees, the feet. And then let's spend a little extra time with this opening practice that we sometimes work with. Hands sliding back. And as you do, again, spreading open like that PVC pipe or the bamboo bending gently. Opening and lengthening. And then softening down, taking your time. Keeping your back long, your neck long. Only going down as far as feels comfortable. And then the hips push forward. Don't lift with your back or your neck. If you're not sure, send me a video and I'll helpfully correct whatever you're doing. And then again, we lengthen. Or again, on the Patreon page, I've got hundreds of classes talking about this movement. And so you might find your answers there. I only keep it over on Patreon, I think behind a $5 paywall or something, to keep the AI from getting to it. Lengthening along the front. Let's do one more. Releasing for just a moment. Taking your time. So allow for that kind of lengthening and this kind of rippling motion during this next turtle drinking chi. Hips travel back, keeping your spine safe and long, your neck relaxed. And then releasing without compressing along the front. That's the reason I modified it from the original way I was practicing it. People were compressing their front too much. And then lifting and lengthening up. Opening along the front of the body, softening down. And as a reminder, the way that I first learned it from Shoko-san and from other people who practice it, a lot of people practice here because they're settling their awareness through here, they're softening through their hips. But the problem is that when people sink down, their hands push into them. And so for people that with larger bellies, for instance, or if they're pregnant, or if they tend to have compression issues or high blood pressure, all of that extra pressure makes things move up. And so I'll do it the way that I was first taught. Here. Lengthening. And that's comfortable for me, but I know for a lot of people it's not. And people often will feel more stable as well if their hands are on their legs. So instead, the hips travel back, keeping this open softness in the front, and then releasing. Don't press against your knees, and don't compress the front of your body. Sink only as far as feels comfortable. I sink low because it feels nice on my hips and back. And then I lengthen upward, softening along the throat, the chest, and we release down. Let's do it one more time. Being gentle. Don't close or compress the front. I'll just keep saying it. Repetition is helpful. And then closing. I'll do a few of these lengthening. Again, let's come up the middle for this one. Just emphasizing this release along the front, lengthening, opening along the front. You can look up a bit. Softening your wrists. And then a wave of gentle relaxation, traveling down and through, especially along the front of the body, the hips, your knees, and your feet. And then, as though gathering, warmth, vitality flows up to the perineum, the tailbone, the lower back, and then forward. Keep your belly soft. 3 times. Letting go and letting go. Chest, the belly, fronts of the hips, your thighs, your knees, your shins, tops of your feet into the ground. And then as you soften upward, lengthen. Again, you're releasing along the front of the body as well. Today, emphasizing that. The whole front of the body releases back open. Such a nice practice. Turn your navel, soften your chest, the hands striking through here very gently, if it's comfortable for your hands. Make sure that as you turn to your left, the front right hip, for instance, stays back. It does not travel forward with it. Now let's take a moment. Awareness of your whole body, softening. And then let your mind grow quiet, almost like you're falling asleep. And let your intent, your awareness, sink deep into the body and through the sinews all the way into the bones. Especially noticing, of course, the area of the neck and the shoulders, just for this series. And then some special awareness of the front of the body that we've been working with. Get your hands nice and warm, especially if it's wintertime when you are. Warming around the eyes and then sliding off to the side. As usual, spending some extra time along the front surface of the body this time. A little extra time on your face. You can move across this way if you like. Circling your whole face. As long as you're not wearing makeup or anything. The result of that would probably end up looking funny. Warming and softening around the ears. Running over the top of the head. This is a really good one to do, depending on your hairstyle, in the shower every day if you like. Just running your fingers from front to back, enlivening your scalp, warming up the back of your head, your neck, especially the base of your neck. Keeping this warm and soft, especially during the winter time or windy times. Spending a little extra time here in the throat, pulling down gently. Softening your jaw. Softening the front corner of the shoulder. Trying to avoid my microphone here. You can also spend time, if you like, working around the collarbones, if that's helpful. Softening the solar plexus. I'm just using the base of my thumb here. You can soften across the navel, warming, reaching across and pulling gently around the rib side. Spend extra time here if you have a lot of emotional things pent up, like anger stored inside. It often gets trapped in these areas, and so softening it can help. I spend lots of time here not because I have any anger issues, but because I've broken my ribs so many times that I need to take extra care of them. Softening across the ribs, kind of dispersing this area in general. You can go forward and back if you'd like. Emphasizing, I think, this forward direction, but both are okay. And then softening the front of the hips. As usual, taking extra care to release this area. And then a little bit on the lower back. Not our focus today, we'll spend more time here tomorrow, but never hurts to warm and soften the lower back, tailbone, sides of the glutes here. So all of this area you can release, especially if you have lines. Maybe if you have piriformis syndrome across here, you can take time, or if you have SI pain. Softening your thighs, releasing around the knees, that musculature along the shin, softening the tops of the feet, pressing down, emphasizing this time the fronts of the legs. I had questions about this as well, so we come all the way up over the shoulder here, and then down along the front to the hand. I know I go a little bit quickly, so I apologize. Emphasizing this downward motion. The whole body sinks a little bit. One more time, warming up the navel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me along this journey. A little day, a little bit, every day, a little bit more open, a little bit more aware of these lines in your body, how they impact your Qigong. And hopefully, especially after a month of practice, you're noticing big changes. So again, please do share them down below so that other people can experience some of your glory. And they can feel hope about their own practice as they improve or run into challenges, as we all do. And so I appreciate you coming together as a community, not just supporting me, but also supporting the future people doing their best to heal. Because, of course, this is the hard work that we're all doing together. And I appreciate you joining me here for it, and I will see you tomorrow.